All right, I want you to look to the person right and left and say, get ready for this. Just do it. And say, get ready for this. Get ready for this. All right, class is in session. Get ready for this. I'm about to hit you. When I got out of Columbia College, I was 23, and I swore that I had lived long enough to write a memoir because at 23, I had done all kind of living. I was like, my life was interesting at 23. So, I decided that I was going to write my first book, which, sort of was a memoir. And I sent it out to the world. I gave birth to my baby, and I sent it out to the world. And I thought for sure that a publisher would just jump at the opportunity to listen about my childhood. 43 rejection letters later, I realized that perhaps writing was not for me. So, I took my pride again. I said, okay, I can't write. I don't want to do this. And I went into corporate America, and I just said, okay, this is your life, Sewell. You're going to go to work every day. And then something interesting happened. My mom passed away in 1999, but it wasn't a sad thing. When my mom passed away, and I went into the hospital room to see her, and you have to know my mother because she always gets the last word. My mother had this smirk on her face like she was smiling. And everyone said that, like, your mother is smiling. I was like, oh, she must see something I don't know about. So, and she did the equivalent of giving me a swift kick in the hind parts. And what that meant was that she said, why did you give up on writing? Why did you stop? You gave up on yourself. We do not give up on ourselves, world. Keep going. And it was at that moment that I realized that there were people here, who were here yesterday that are not here today. And you never know when your time is going to be punched. So there were people who may have died yesterday who had a book in them, but because they never gave birth to it, we don't know about it. We don't know. So it was at that point I decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead and write. I'm not going to give up. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know how I was going to get published. All I had inside of me was a burning desire to do it. That's all I had. And so I went on and I wrote my book called Taken for Granted, and that would be the book that would launch my career. And then when I wrote that book, I found, and as writers when you find a writer's flow, when you find that sweet spot, where you're not looking with your physical eyes, but you are seeing with your mental eyes. Here's a tweetable moment. The mind is the gymnasium where writing works out, okay? And I'm talking about all disciplines of writing. From screenwriting to poetry to comic books to stage play writers to screenwriters. The written word is everywhere in our society, yet most people don't pay attention to it. And when most people go through life on autopilot, not paying attention to what words do to them. Words are powerful. A word can start a war, and a word can end a war. A word can be loving, or a word can be hateful. Words sit in our minds. If you're unconscious, they just sit there and you don't know about it until it forces you to take action. Marry words with music, and they stick to the back of our mind. And sometimes they just start up, and we don't even know why they started up. They just go. Those are the power of words. And as writers, we do these things. We look for the right word marriages. And let me show you how society gets us. Advertising and marketers know this very well. So we're going to do this side again. And this is how we're going to do for advertising and marketing. You're not even thinking about this right now, but as soon as I say it, you'll get the brand. So what I want to do is I'm going to say the slogan, and you tell me the brand. You're in good hands with
Allstate.
Just do it.
90.
Finger looking good. Here's another good one for words. And this comes from writers, screenwriters. And these are from movies. And I'm going to say the line from the movie, and you tell me what movie it is. Ready? Say, yes, we're ready.
Yes, we're ready.
This side, I'll be back.
Terminator.
Mama always said life is like a box. Oh, look at it. See, you finished it for me. All right. All right. And now here's the fun stuff. Here are some famous lines from literature. Let's see if you get this one. If I were to say, bah humbug and Tiny Tim, what am I talking about? Christmas Carol. You told Hoppo to beat me. All right. All right. Here's one. one, I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Godfather.
Godfather. There you go. All right. The written word is probably the most exciting invention that man has ever made. Because without the written word, we would not be able to communicate, and we would not be able to leave anything behind to let other people know that we were here. See, writers are really recorders of society. That's what we do. We record society. We try to bring meaning to what we know, to what we've experienced, so that it will be beneficial to someone else. This is what I mean when I talk about conscious writing. Again, we study society, and we study the life experiences, and we study meaning. And we want to understand not only what drives us, but what drives other people. We want to understand that. We want to understand our place in history at this particular time. And see, conscious writing is not just about putting words on a page. Conscious writing is about finding the right rhythm of the word. Conscious writing is about finding the right word marriages that will stick with you. And you don't even know they're sticking there. But for some reason, for some point, they will just come up and you don't even know, where did I get that from? Why did I hold on to that? Do you realize that there are just words in your head that has taken up mental space? So when you sit down to write, it's not just about writing about personal experience. Everybody has a personal experience. It's about understanding that personal experience. It's about self-awareness. It's about helping other people to become self-aware and conscious. That's why every dictator in the world, when they want to take over something, the first thing they burn is literature. So they can give you propaganda. So that they can give you new words to put into your head and give you new belief systems. See, words create belief systems. The last thing I want to talk about is trusting the process. It's not easy. Writing is hard. It's hard. If it was easy, everyone would do it. It's not easy to sit down and think. It's not easy to try to put together the word. It's not easy to try to find it. It's not easy sitting out there hour upon hour visualizing your work and wondering if what you're hunched over the computer and creating is even worth anything. It's hard. It's hard. But the thing about it is, I heard some places, the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. See, because you don't know. You don't know what your words are going to do to somebody. You have no idea. You have no idea of how your story that you create is going to touch someone's heart. And see, I like to say you don't write for money. You don't write for money. You write for the love of the craft. And then the money will come.
Yeah.
Write for the love of it. You see, writing to me is what my fingers are to my hands. It's something that I cannot not do. I always do it. I can't help it. It's just a part of me. Story is always going. Analysis is always going. I'm always thinking. I'm always creating. And I'm always giving birth because I've been pregnant with 30 books.
All
I'm
right.
tired. But I still keep going. I still keep going. It's about not quitting. It's about not quitting. Because writing keeps the mind sharp.
Yeah.
It keeps it sharp. It's about only knowing the instinct of what you're doing. It's about only knowing the instinct and following that instinct. One of the things I would like to mention is back in 2006, my publisher came to me and they said, Earl, can you write a young adult book? And I said, well, yeah, I think I can. Well, we need you to write it from a girl's perspective. And I said, okay, I can find my inner 16-year-old girl, I guess. And so I took on the project because it would stretch me. It got me outside of my comfort zone. And I sat down, and in 2007, the book came out, and it was called Keisha's Drama. That book has gone global. And I had no idea when I sat down to write a 16-year-old protagonist that it would take my career to another level, to the point where I got international distribution on it. So powerful was that book that 2 months ago, I get an email from a young lady. And she says, Dear Mr. Sewell, when I was 15 years old, I read Keisha's Drama. I'm from Racine, Wisconsin. I'm 22 years old now, and I'm a film student at Tribeca Film School. Has anyone ever turned your book into a webisode for YouTube? And I said, no. And she said, well, Mr. Sewell, I would like to do that. I wrote that young lady back and I said, sure. That young lady, ladies and gentlemen, is that woman right there standing on the wall, videotaping me right now. Say hello to the city. I could not have known when I sat down to create Keisha's drama that it would impact this young lady from the age of 15 to 22, where she decided to come back and write me and say, this book stuck with me, this story stuck with me. I think other people should know about it. See, you know how much that's worth? That's priceless. That's priceless. You don't put money on that. You just don't. That's just something that comes from your soul. That's that spiritual wealth. That's that wonderful thing that writing does. It doesn't matter about the money. What matters is that it touched someone in some way.